guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gamer, 70 man Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you into the Let's Play episode of Repeat Remake, Sissel's Path. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go! He sobbed uncontrollably into my shoulder, unable to even breathe properly as he clutched onto my jacket. We could do little to comfort him besides sit together and hold him close. The four of us huddled on the street sidewalk, looking to each other nervously as Sissel caught his breath. He was sitting down, hunched over with his face in his hands. His tears ran dry about an hour ago, but he was still shaking. Sissel's eyes were red and raw from his sobbing, but his breathing slowly evened out. Jinny sat by his side, looking concerned and rubbing gentle circles on his back. "Hey, Sis, you doing all right?" A spiteful laugh escaped his throat as he looked up to all of us, his voice still hoarse. "No. I don't know. I don't even know what's happening anymore. I tried so hard and it blew up in my face. I really am good for nothing." "Sissel, listen, that's not true. Sissel let out a weary sigh and stood up. He stumbled before catching himself. "I don't need you guys to baby me every time I fuck up. Just leave me alone. I need some time to think." He shook his head bitterly and stood up. The rest of us watched in uncomfortable silence as Sissel staggered down the street without giving us a second glance. "He's running off into the woods again, isn't he? We can't just leave him by himself like this. Shouldn't we?" Jinny shook her head doubtfully. "I don't think Sissel's really in the mood to listen to us right now. Let's give him some space to sort out his thoughts. We'll be there when he opens to it." I gripped the hem of my jacket so hard it hurt. Everything felt so helpless. "Well, what the hell are we supposed to do? Sissel just hit rock bottom. I can't just leave him and do nothing." A gentle hand rested on my shoulder. Jinny met my eyes with an understanding and equally frustrated expression. We've been comforting him for the last hour, and now the best we can do is give him some peace and quiet." Her expression hardened. "What we can focus on is figuring out what Herschel's problem is. There's got to be some sort of misunderstanding. Herschel really loves Sissel, so there's got to be a reason why he blew up like that. If we can show Sissel that this isn't his fault and there's other factors he's not seeing, this could be a good chance to mend things between them." My shoulders swung heavily as I stood up from the sidewalk. At this point, I'm willing to do anything if it'll help. Count me in. Jinny smiled gratefully. "Thanks, Adrian. I have a good idea where to start. Wait, where did Philip go?" We glanced around the empty street in bewilderment. "I swear he was just with us a few moments ago." Our phones buzzed, and the two of us simultaneously flipped open our messages. The text from Philip read, "Sorry for running off, guys, but something urgent came up. Owen hasn't been answering my calls for the last 2 days, ever since he left school. I'm getting worried, so I'm leaving to go check on him. I'm sure you guys can handle Sissel's situation. You two are closer to him anyway. Let me know if anything comes up. Philip." I grumbled and stuffed my phone forcefully back in my pocket. His timing sure is convenient. I'm sure Philip has his reasons. He's got a point, too. Too many people prying into this might make things difficult. The two of us should be able to handle it. If you say so. I must have looked irritated because Jinny placed another gentle hand on my shoulder and nudged me down the street. "Come on, Adrian, don't let the frustration get the better of you. Let's go." The library was empty and cold as Jinny led me through the shelves. I glanced around the old bookcases warily. The place smelled like old paper and mothballs. "Remind me again why we're here," Jinny mumbled impatiently as she sifted through the old newspaper archives. "We're here because there's something fishy about Herschel and the way he's reacting to the whole national champion title. I want to know why. There's got to be a reason. Herschel's usually a real gentle guy. There's more to this than just a simple competition. I just know it." I poked my nose into the dusty shelves and sniffed. Clouds of dust wafted through the air as Jinny sifted through piles of old newspaper articles. Shame Herschel wasn't born during the age of the internet. It'll take forever to find what we need. I wandered down the aisle and scanned the shelves by date. The competition Herschel attended happened around 18 years ago, in August, wasn't it? That's a big-ass pile of newspapers to sort through. I suddenly felt a familiar cold chill down my spine. "They're in that corner to your left. Looks like a lot of papers and tabloids were covering the event at the time." Alright, y'all, it is water time. Sorry about that pause, y'all. I had to go and grab some coffee. Anyway, we're back. Oh, thanks, Echo. Glad I've still got my little helper ghost with me. Oh, he ain't looking so good. The dust fluttered through the air as Echo appeared beside me with a strained expression. "Dude, are you doing okay? You look even worse than you did yesterday." Echo winced as he limped his way towards me. "Adrian, I need you to listen closely. You're running out of time. I can feel the Remnant getting close and... Well, I'm not sure what will happen. Just hurry up with your investigation here, okay? I do my best to hold the perimeter in the meantime." I gulped and stared at the empty space where Echo stood. Whatever was happening, we should probably hurry up with our search. I glanced over my shoulder to where Jinny was still sorting through a newspaper pile. Jinny, I found them over here. Oh, that was quick. Let's skim through a bunch of these and see what we can find. There's got to be a hint as to why Herschel was so mad about this competition. The library clock ticked by as the two of us shuffled through the stack of decade-old articles in an anxious rush. We scanned through newspapers, tabloids, advertisements, and magazines for anything out of the ordinary about the culinary event. The press at the time painted Herschel as the rising underdog of the competition, and highlighted how he was a culinary prodigy like his sister, Cecilia Bradley. I sighed and tossed another newspaper into our read pile. Have you found anything useful yet? Nothing that particularly sticks out. A lot of these articles are pretty eager to compare Herschel to Cecilia's success, though. This young new finalist is truly living up to his sister's legendary legacy. I mean, it's probably irritating to constantly live in his sister's shadow, but it's nothing to throw a tantrum over. Herschel was doing really well for himself, too. He even got to take a 5-hour flight across the country to attend the finals. Kind of curious what his sister was doing at this time. What did she spend her prize money from previous competitions on? I grabbed the article I tossed aside earlier, curiously. Well, according to this interview, Cecilia Bradley spent most of her money supporting Herschel's education. That was very nice of her. The rest of it was spent fending off their parents' very illegal debtors, who were constantly harassing them after their parents' deaths. I resisted rolling my eyes as I glanced over the gossip section of the tabloid. This says that Cecilia tried to marry a rich gentleman from a nearby city, but it didn't work out. This article reminded me why I never liked reading celebrity gossip. I decided to skip over the parts where Cecilia was called a gold-digging hag and move on. The two of them had broken up the year before Herschel's competition. This left Cecilia alone to take care of the baby, with Herschel dropping out of college to help support her. Jinny's eyes widened. She nearly jumped out of her seat to grab me by the shoulder. The baby! What happened to the baby? I stuttered and flipped through the tabloid anxiously. It didn't mention anything more about Cecilia's child. I tossed the article aside and grabbed another one. Well, let's see. None of the gossip mags mentioned much about it, surprisingly. Didn't more say that Cecilia was murdered? Try the local crime section or something. Well, now that you mentioned it... The local newspaper headline caught my eye. This says that... I gulped. The date's towards the end of Herschel's championship contest. Cecilia and her baby were confronted by her parents' debtors. They got unruly after finding out she presumably didn't have any money. The police searched through Cecilia's cabin in the woods and found signs of a struggle. The place was stripped of all valuables. It's presumed that she and the baby were both killed and thrown into Bradley Lake. Their bodies were never recovered. Well, technically. Technically? I felt a little sick as I read further. Oh, the Lady of the Lake is his mother. Damn! Now that is certainly a midpoint twist. I felt a little sick as I read further. They found one of Cecilia's fingers floating in the lake a few weeks later. A fisherman even reported to see a crow flying around with one of her scavenged eyeballs. But besides that, nothing. Jinny covered her mouth and looked a little green. Oh, that's unfortunate. I figured maybe she lost a baby and Sissel's an orphan who showed up out of nowhere, you know? I get what you're saying. A sharp pain suddenly crackled through my chest. All the air left my lungs and I dropped to my knees, gasping for air. What was that sound? Adrian? Adrian, are you feeling alright? My eyes squeezed shut, teeth gritting tightly as Jinny helped me back up onto my feet. The world felt like it was spinning wildly. My head hurt. I don't know. Did you hear that, though? Jinny nodded slowly, but looked doubtful as she glanced around the library. Nobody else in the building seemed to be reacting to it. Everyone kept their noses buried in the books, as though the thunderous crack from moments ago never happened. Was this a wish's doing? 1 second, y'all. Water time. Or coffee time, I should say. Oh, that's good. That's some good coffee. Okay. It sounded like it came from outside. I struggled to keep my legs steady, my chest still burning with a stabbing pain. I'm gonna check it out. Maybe you should take a moment to rest first. You don't look so good. Hey, Adrian, wait! I sprinted outside with Jinny following close behind. The pain made the world spin sporadically as I stumbled onto the sidewalk. Glad to see you could make it, Adrian. Where was it? I blinked at the sweat dripping down my brow as I struggled to see where the voice was coming from. That voice, that was my voice! The Remnant was speaking with my own voice! I'm guessing the Remnant is actually Adrian from another timeline. What are you doing to me? Adrian, look! Ooh. Oh no! Grotesque shards of glass were scattered across the pavement. There was a shattered camera lying amongst the glass. And then the sickening realization hit me. Those were Echo's remains. Ugh! The nauseating sound of crunching bone reverberated through my skull as the Remnant gnawed his way through what was left of Echo's arm. It looked straight at me with his inhuman eyes and grinned through its meal. Finally. I was so tired of feeling empty. The sound of my own voice coming out of that creature's mouth was nothing short of terrifying. Another sharp pain cracked through my chest, and I fell to my knees again. Jinny ran to my side and helped me back onto my feet, looking bewildered. Is that the same faceless thing that followed me a couple days ago? The Remnant tipped its head towards her in a rabid grin. Yes. And now I can finally give Adrian what he truly wishes for. That old hag in the lake can't hold me back. The Remnant crouched down, its back suddenly lurching and bubbling as though something was trying to claw out of it. Ugh! Suddenly a mass of tendrils burst out of its back like maggots from a cocoon. The tendrils shaped into dozens of grotesque hands, and each clawing hungrily at the air. The Remnant tilted its head and stared towards me. A single violent eye on its head rolled in its socket to peer intensely into me. I will make your wish reality, no matter how many times it takes. Even if I have to repeat this wretched world over and over and over again. It paused and lifted its head, as though to sniff the air in search of something. This time, it looks like I'll have to focus on him. Jinny and I stood in stunned silence as the Remnant abruptly disappeared before our eyes. After a few moments, I stumbled forward and anxiously reached for the shards of Echo that were scattered across the pavement. They crumpled into dust the moment my fingers touched them. A heavy sense of dread gnawed at my chest as I watched the dust scatter into the air. He's really gone. The pain in my chest continued to ache as the feeling of my wish slowly faded away. Now there's only an empty numbness inside. Jinny knelt down next to me and wrapped a comforting arm around my shoulder. I'm not sure what just happened, but are you doing okay? I pressed a hand against my chest and squeezed my eyes shut. I'm not sure. Everything just hurts now. I don't mean to scare you even more, but what was that thing talking about? Whatever it was doesn't sound very good. I'll have to focus on him. Jinny and I looked at each other for a split second before simultaneously coming to the same conclusion. 1 second, y'all. Coffee time. Goodness me, goodness my, it'd be delicious. Sissel. Oh boy. Save Sissel. Sissel wandered down the cold trail of Bradley Woods while glaring intently at his feet. It seemed like he always found himself back here to this lake whenever life took an awful turn. He sighed and rubbed his sore eyes again, his eyelids still raw from sobbing for an hour straight. There were no tears left, just exhaustion. Sissel sat down on a nearby log and buried his face in his hands. He was glad Jinny and Adrian weren't around to baby him this time around, but the woods felt a little colder without them fussing over him. He didn't deserve their help anyhow. Even when he tried his best to make things right, everything took a turn for the worse, making a mess wherever he goes. Oh, excuse me. His parents didn't want him, and now even Herschel didn't want him. Maybe he really was worthless. Oh, that's not true. You know that's not true. Adrian, I told you to leave me alone. Sissel jumped and looked around in confusion. There was no one else around. It was just him, alone on a log in the forest. Sissel sat up straight, his hair standing on end. Adrian, is that you? I'm not really in the mood for pranks. I'd never joke about something so important. Are you doing all right? You're not looking too good. Sissel scowled and rolled his eyes. I'm not going to talk to someone who feels like hiding and playing games. All right, I'm coming out. Yeah. Forest air hissed as some thing appeared sitting on the log next to him. The fuck? Sissel jumped and nearly toppled off his seat in shock. Don't be afraid. I'm just your friendly neighborhood spirit ghost thingy. Bleh. Even I'm not sure about the details. Sissel gaped at the strange creature mumbling on the log next to him. His first instinct was to run the hell out of there, but there was something about it that felt strangely familiar. He gulped before staring at its horrific face closely. I hate to break it to you, but you look anything but friendly. Hey, I didn't want to be born this way. This is just how Adrian made me. Sissel blinked. Adrian made you? Into this? The creature shrugged awkwardly at his disbelief. Depression is an ugly thing. I don't blame him. Speaking of depression, the thing tilted its head towards him at a strange angle. Sissel felt its empty eye sockets examining him carefully. You don't sound too good. My parents didn't want me. Herschel didn't want me. Sissel's stomach lurched painfully. Stop doing that! I'll make a mess wherever I go, whatever I do. Maybe I really am worthless. Shut up! Get out of my head! The creature paused and gave him a soft smile with its crooked mouth. You know you're being unfair to yourself. Herschel doesn't hate you, and neither do your parents. Heck, you don't even know your parents. They could be the sweetest people in the world for all you know. Sissel crossed his arms and stared at his feet uncomfortably. Why did they leave me in a dumpster then? The creature's smile faltered its head, and it hung its head down in silence. And Herschel! I did everything I could to help him out, but he just... Sissel inhaled sharply and sighed. Here I am! I tried my damn best, but nobody wanted it, or me! The creature stared at him quietly for a moment before speaking again. Everyone is fighting their own battles. I know that Herschel loves you very much, but he's also dealing with a lot of guilt. And as for your parents, I have no doubt your mother loved you very much too. Sissel looked up at it sharply. How do you know that? You're just a thing! The shadowy entity laughed softly and hopped onto its feet. In that case, I'll just have to show you. Follow me. And I'm actually going to pause it right there, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.